Hello friends, you're with a Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm playing Thunderbolt Apache Leader, a close air support solitaire strategy game by Dan Fersen Games DVG. It's a game of a whole series, the Air Leader series. Some other games are, for example, Phantom Leader or Hornet Leader. But this is the latest product of the series, just came out a few weeks ago. So I decided to do a playthrough now, even though I did another playthrough about Phantom Leader just, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago. So I apologize for this, because there might be some people who don't like the series or who don't like war games. But I promise you my next game will be a more maybe fantasy-like or a more thematic game. But because it just came out, I decided to do Thunderbolt Apache Leader now. For those of you who have never heard about the Air Leader series, be warned, this is by far the most complex game of this series. So I suggest to watch a few missions of my Phantom Leader series, where you can see the basic game concepts in a very puristic and in a very clean style. So that might be a good start to get the basic idea of how these games work before you watch the Thunderbolt Apache Leader series. There are many distinctions if you compare this game to the other games before. Many new features. So let's take a look, I suggest. Okay, first let's see what comes with the box. Lots of cards. First of all, we have these pilots cards, as you can see, lots of them. And here we have different plane cards, aircraft cards. And if you know the other parts of the series, this is something new, because here you can allocate, you can assign pilots to different aircraft, and that wasn't possible before. Then we have so-called battalion cards, different types of battalion cards. We have a lot of counters, good old stress counters. We have here some damage markers. We have the pilot counters, battalion markers. These are here our enemy tokens, ammunition counters. Here we have mission event cards. There are only 10 of them. I think it would have been okay to have a little more. These are the special condition cards, also something new in this game. Here we have the air base sheet, where you will place the pilot cards, aircraft cards. We have also the mission here. I decided to find out what happens if we attack Iran. And you can see here it's this old evaluation system. You get victory points, and then you see how successful you were during the campaign. And this is a, what's it called? A situation card. And that's an interesting idea because there are 6 different situations you can choose from, and they change the way of the campaign. Sometimes, first of all, they tell you how many days the campaign have. Then they tell you how many special option points you will get. But there are also always special rules. I decided, for example, rapid deployment, and it says cannot buy more than 1 scout during the buy scout step. Cannot replace aircraft or pilots during day 1 or 2. Daily special option points gained, day 1, 6, then 9, then 12, then 6 again. Normally you get every day the same number. And then you got some thematic text here. Tensions in the region have boiled over and your squadron has been rushed into action with very little preparation. So that is pretty interesting because you got about 8 campaign cards and you got about 6 of these. So if you combine them, you nearly got about 50 different kind of missions, and that is really a big plus considering the replayability. And then we have here more what kind of enemy, special enemy markers. These are damage markers. And then we find the board. And the interesting part here, and that's really something new, we got here terrain hexes. And we're going to place these hexes here randomly on the board. So that is maybe the most distinct feature of this game. It's really something new. In the old games, you had these approach area, center area, and so on. But here, terrain really does matter. You will see that later in the game. Another very useful thing, you got all the important tables here on the board. You got every information you need here all over the board, or sometimes here in the airbase sheet. All you need, as you can see, it's a lot of stuff, but you don't need to look at the rules too often, and that's a very good and useful idea, I think. Finally, we got this interesting feature here. This is basically the different front lines from the enemy rear to your airbase, and the battalions move between these lines, and the closer they come, the worse it is for you. You have to pay special option points if they come closer to your airbase, and that is definitely something you want to avoid. So over the missions, there is some element now which holds all the missions together. It's not so much one mission after the other as you had it in the games before. Okay, and now after I selected the campaign card and the situation card, I determine and place the battalions. And you can see here on the campaign card, setup 36. And now you have to draw from these battalion cards. You draw 2 assault battalions, 1 support battalion, and 1 command battalion. And as you can see here, you find this number. That's 5, and that says 5 victory points for this battalion if you destroy that. So now you draw cards until you come to this 36 that you'll find on your campaign card. So now we got 5, 9, that's the support, that's 15, the command now, that's a 3, that's 18, and then we start again, 2 assault battalions, that's 20, second one, 23, now a support one, 27, and a command one, 29. Let's go on again, assault, that is now 35, and now we have to draw a last assault battalion, and that's a little unlucky that we have now 35. Yeah, okay, that's then 38 now. That is the last battalion card we've drawn, because we had to come over this 36, which is written here. And then we'll find the battalion counters and place them here in the appropriate bands. Normally the assault battalions are closer, support battalions are somewhere in the middle, while command battalions are more at the rear. Okay, I placed the battalions, and now I'm gonna buy the aircraft. Normally I had 25 starting special option points, but because I use 2 optional rules, one is the random squadron selection, and that gives me 4 additional special option points. Another one is the high stress attacks rule, and that costs me 2 option points. So finally I got 27 special option points. And I'm gonna draw here. And that first one is a Harrier. And that's a 6. I shuffled the cards, by the way. So these are 6 special option points, and then we got an Apache. 5, so we are at 11 now. Thunderbolt. These are 8, so we're at 19. Now we got another Apache, and these are 4, so these are 23. And now I'm wondering, I think that's it, I won't buy another airplane, I can't afford another one. I think it's a good idea to keep a few special option points, because I need to buy weapons and maybe some other special options for the first missions. Okay, then we can buy scouts, and a special rule during this mission is that we're only allowed to buy only 1 scout, and that's something I'm gonna do. So I got to pay another special option point for the 1 scout. Here is a track for the special option points and the days. And here is another track called loiter time track. that shows you the time you're allowed to stay over the target region. And then we select the pilots, and that's also something we're going to do randomly. I simply draw here from the pilot stack, but as you can see, not all pilots can fly every aircraft. This pilot can only fly the Spectre, for example. This is a pilot for the Apache, so we got to remember that while drawing our pilots. Okay, so I got now these pilots here, and you start with a number of pilots. For each aircraft you have, you get one pilot, and in addition, for every type of aircraft you have, you get an additional pilot. So I get 4 pilots, one for each aircraft, and then I got 3 different types of aircraft, 2 Apache, a Thunderbolt, and this F-16. So I get 3 additional pilots. So after all now, I think I got 7. Yeah. Exactly, I got 7 pilots now. Okay. And then I can adjust the pilot skill levels. And this is also something I like to do randomly. It's not written in the rules, it's a house rule of mine. Normally these pilots also start as average pilots. And now you have the option to improve them at the beginning. You can say, okay, I want one of these pilots be one to have one higher skill. For example, instead of average, the next better skill would be skilled. That's no problem, you can simply do that, but then another pilot has to take one less valuable skill. So that would be green in this case. And the way I'm going to determine this, I simply roll for one pilot with a 10-sided die. That is number 3, so that would be Montana. And now I'm going to roll 2 6-sided die. That's a 7. Well, in this case I look here at my table. On a 7 this guy stays average. If I would have rolled a 9, for example, I'd had a skilled pilot here, Montana, but then I had to roll which pilot instead would be a green one. And that's basically it. So now I'm going to determine the skills of my pilots. Okay, so now we have most of our pilots are average. We got Daddy-O, Apache, Tex, an Apache pilot, Dart, Fighting Falcon, Mohawk, also Fighting Falcon, Montana, another Apache pilot. They're all average, but we got one veteran, this is Gumby, and then we also have to have a newbie, that is Thunderbolt, that is a Rebel, and they both fly a Thunderbolt. Then you can see here the stats of the pilots. I explained that already in my video series of Phantom Leader. You got speed, you got cannon and strike and standoff. And this is something new in this game. We got the coolness factor, and we got the how long they are okay and when they start being shaken. And here we got the experience points they need to be promoted. It's the same as in the other games. You simply can flip this card here and then you can make rebel from a newbie to a green pilot, promote him, then he can become an average pilot, and then he might become skilled veteran, and so on. Okay, and then we got a player log here that is used to keep track, for example, of the stress of the single pilots and also of the experience, also of the special option points. But you can see here it's much more complicated than the other player log was in Phantom Leader, because there's a lot more things to do that you can do with special option points. And in addition, now you got also some spaces for the different aircraft that you have, the damage that the aircraft might take, and so on. Furthermore, you never take all the terrain tiles, you only take the tiles here of the campaign card with this number. Okay, we're finally ready for the first day of the mission. Let's see here, start of day. First thing we do is we draw a special condition card. And that is a card that applies for the whole day. So let's see, it says enemy advance. Advance any one mobile battalion one range band closer to the airbase range band. Okay, I'll see what that might be. Okay, now as I took a look at the closer look at the enemy battalions, I found out that, for example, that one, the 7A, starts at the enemy transit. Normally the assault battalions start in the front line, but this one, 7A, is now placed at the enemy transit. And also the 5A, which we have here, nope, the 5A, that one, starts at the enemy rear, the mounted infantry. So that is now placed here. And then there are a few special battalions which are pretty bad. For example, the artillery unit lose 2 special option points at the end of each day. So I don't like that at all, and I try to destroy that in the first day. And then we got a scout group here, and that says add 2 to all assault battalion move rolls. That's also pretty dangerous, because that might bring the battalions pretty close to my base, so that's something I don't like at all. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to use this enemy advance to move the artillery unit 1S 1 band closer to my base from the enemy transit to the front line. The good thing is there is no weight point limit in the front line, and there is also less stress. So in this case it was to my advantage. And now I'm going to allocate pilots and aircraft. And as I said, I'm going to attack these 2 battalions during the first day, because I want to avoid these special conditions here. It's not necessary to destroy them completely. You can kind of weaken them to avoid the special condition. Okay, I allocated pilots and aircraft, and I decided that the scout group will be attacked by Gumby flying Thunderbolt. He's a veteran. He's pretty cool, so I think it's a good idea to use him in one of the first missions, because now at the beginning we don't gain many special option points to replace pilots if they become more and more stressed. And the artillery unit should be destroyed by these 3 pilots. We got Daddy in an Apache, we got Mohawk in a... Well, wait a minute, that's a Harrier. That's not a fighting Falcon. I made an error here, that's a Harrier. And then we got Montana, also in an Apache. And I got to change this pilot. I thought it's an F-16, but it isn't actually. Okay, so I got now 2 new pilots, Divot and Hack. These are my Harrier pilots. So, and well, as I said now, Daddy is flying the Apache, Divot is flying the Harrier, and Montana, he is flying the other Apache. And they're gonna attack the artillery unit. And then I have to allocate my scout. Okay, and I'm gonna place him here, the scout over here, because I gain 3 stress, and if I'm lucky I won't gain a little less stress due to a good scout roll. Okay. So let's now prepare for the first mission. We can arm our first aircraft. Okay, I armed my aircraft now, and you can see a big difference here compared to Phantom Leader. Here you have to arm your aircraft before you see the terrain, the sights and all that. You just know how many of what kind you will find, but you don't know where exactly they are. So you can't plan so precisely ahead like you can do in Phantom Leader. You have to improvise much more during your mission. You can see here, this is the Thunderbolt. It can carry up to 14 weight points, and these are the weapons it can carry. Here in the upper left you see this white number is the weight point, and these weapons with the yellow stripe here, that is an air-to-air weapon. The others are all air-to-ground weapons. This is a fuel tank, which allows me to stay for 2 more turns over the target. Because this thing is at the enemy rear, I got a weight point, I got -4 weight points. I could spend 1 special option points to refuel. That would allow me to ignore those weight point limitations, but I only have 3 special option points left, so I have to be very careful what I do with them because of this special scenario rapid deployment. Then you have to pay for the weapons. for most of the weapons. Here you see the second number, the black number here in the upper left corner. That is the so-called, well, let me see. This is an ordnance number. And you can see here, it's always a 1 here. And here it's a 0. And for every 10 of these ordnance numbers, so in this case it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have to spend 1 special option point. So now I have to spend 1, and I could have taken 4 more of these points with me, but there was the weight point limit, so in this case I wasn't allowed to do that. There are also weapons which have a special ordnance number of 0, like that one for example, but most of the good weapons force you to pay special option points. In addition to this, I have a cannon. You can see my cannon number here, that's a 4. And in Phantom Leader, the cannon was a terrible weapon. Mostly you needed a 10 for a hit. Here it's different. The Thunderbolt needs a 4 or higher for a hit with a cannon. And then I got this additional skill of the pilot. So I only need a 3 or higher to hit with the cannon. So it's a pretty effective weapon actually. Okay, so now that I armed my aircraft, I draw the target bound mission event. That is here, and it's the same as, or similar to the other games. You have a target bound mission and a homebound mission, no over target event. But the target bound mission is the upper one, so this is MLRS bombardment. You may pay 1 special option point to attack the enemy units at the start of the first turn. Roll against each unit and destroy it on a roll of 8 to 10. Well, that is tempting, and normally I think I would do this. But in this case I simply can't afford, because I have to arm the other aircraft. These are 3 aircraft, so I probably will need more special option points than I needed to arm that one. So sadly I can't do this. And then the next one is place terran hexes. And you simply shuffle these terran hexes, and then you see here a small white arrow, and that arrow must show to the top side. Okay, and here you can see now we have different terran tiles, and some of these tiles are basically just flat, like that one for example, but most of them have ridges, like this one here, or like that one, and they are important now for line of sight, or they also make it harder for the pilots in low altitude to fly across the ridges. So these are now completely new rules and new options, new features that we have to take under consideration when we plan and fly our mission. The next step is that we place the enemy units, and here we see how many units we have to place, for example 2 APC, 2 commands and so on. So let's see, let's simply take here a command unit and roll a die. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a 10-sided die, so we simply roll where that unit is placed. That's a 1, so it's placed here, more or less in the middle of the hex. And we do that with all the units of the battalion. Okay, I placed the enemy units now. And just a few words about them. This white number, the black circle, is the range of the unit. Then above that is the number of attack tokens you have to draw from a cup. The less, the better. And at the end of the mission, you add all these numbers here on the upper left on the units together. You add them all up, and but only of the surviving units. And if you then end up with 2 or less, the battalion is destroyed. If you end up between 10 and 3, then the battalion is, well, at least weakened. You gain half the victory points rounded down, and this special ability doesn't apply anymore. So I think we can be satisfied when we manage to weaken the battalion with this single pilot. I think that would be okay. If we destroy the whole battalion and no single counter stays alive, then we gain an extra experience point as a reward. So that's also a very good thing, actually. And now we have to think about where to place our pilot. Okay, I think I'm going to start here. This is a plane that has at least to move 1 per turn. You can see that here. This is an A10 here, and that moves 1 or 2 each turn. Some aircraft might hover, and to indicate that it hovers in this turn, you place it in the middle of the hex. When it's moving, you have to place it at the corner of a hex. The aircraft flies in low altitude. This green L indicates that. I could switch it like that. I could flip it, and then it's an H that says that it's in high altitude. But this is more dangerous because in high altitude sometimes more enemy forces show up, and you could be also be in line of sight. It could be more easier be in line of sight of the enemies. The other advantage of this hex here is I'm out of range of every enemy. These guys have a range of 1, the command counter here and that one here, so they could attack the adjacent tiles. But in this case it's not possible. All the other enemies, they have no range at all, so they can only attack an aircraft if it's on the same tile. Okay, so now I placed the enemy unit, the friendly aircraft, and I have to do the scout success check. And at the beginning I allocated a scout here over the battalion, So now I have to roll, and here we got a table for the scout success checks. And normally I roll a 1, which destroys my scout immediately. Let's hope this time it's a little better. And that's a 6. That's not too bad, I think. That gives me 2 extra turns over the target. It would have been good to roll a little more, because then I would have taken 1 less stress. In this case I take 3 stress, which is quite a lot. And now this scout is placed here, and I can use it again on the next day. And then I have to place the loiter counter. Normally it starts at 5, but I got 2 extra turns, so it's now at 7. And then I got the fuel tank, which gives me additional 2 extra turns. So I can place it right here at 9. So I got a lot of time to do the job there. I can take my time here. Okay, so now we're ready for the first mission, but before I fly, I'm gonna load this up, and I'm gonna show you how the mission itself goes in my next video. Hope to see you then. Bye.